Technology now, it's a given, everybody has to have it. Other things are similar. There was a time when only few will have machines, and they will do whatever they wanted to do. They will have a monopoly. There are organizations who are hiring the entry level or the lowest level of the organization only through AI. There is no human interface. So we have reached that level.
The People Puzzle is brought to you by Bridgeview Search Partners, an executive search firm specializing in mid to senior level hiring. With your host, Reet Rathore from the HR practice at Bridgeview, let's solve today's People Puzzle together. Welcome to the People Puzzle. I'm thrilled to kick off our very first episode with a very extraordinary guest, Gauri Das. As a distinguished HR leader, a two-time TEDx speaker, and a published author, Gauri brings around 17 years of experience in human resources to our conversation today. We'll be exploring a very interesting topic, how HR has evolved from a back office function to, becoming a crucial voice in the boardroom. And who better to guide us through this transformation than someone who's actually been in the forefront of this change? So hey Gauri, a very warm welcome to the show, The People Puzzle. We're so excited to have you on board as our first guest. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Reet. And first of all, congratulations to you on this new initiative,
Thank you
because
so much.
it has become a very good way to connect with people. And yeah, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good too. Thank you. And thank you so much. So, before we really start our conversation, would you like to perhaps tell the audience a little bit more about you and the work you do?
Yeah, so like you said, I carry around 17 years of experience in HR. And on besides HR, that is my day's work. I am passionate about networking, and that's where the book has come into picture. I also focus on helping women and professionals and also students. So I do coaching. I am a certified ICF coach, and I have founded two women centric circles. One is Lean In Circle, and the name of the circle is Leaders Lifting Leaders. This is an initiative by Sheryl Sandberg.
Oh,
And this is an online circle where we have people from different countries, and Navi Mumbai Circle, which is an offline circle.
yeah.
The idea behind both communities is to help women grow, and the objectives are learning, networking, and having fun as well.
Yeah. That's actually a really nice introduction, and I'm very keen on joining the circles as I spoke to you before today, earlier today. And I'm sure, like our guests, would also love to, be a part of it. We'll put the form of the circle in the description so that more and more women can join and be empowered.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, going right into it. You've done two TEDx talks, and one of them was basically about the HR revolution. So you spoke about how from your internship days earlier in 2000s, HR's role was just limited to a messy office near the main door, and the only function that HR was doing was to ensure that whenever the labor inspector comes inside the building, the HR can take quick action and let the employees know. To today, when HR is considered obviously the backbone of any company, what do you think enabled this sort of a change, this sort of a transformation?
Yeah, thanks for taking me to decades ago. And yes, definitely this is how it was. And I remember how powerful I used to feel when it was time for leave or attendance, because if they don't get it right,
Yeah.
there will be a deduction, and nobody wanted a deduction. So HR had that power, but that was the only time when we were actually feeling that we are contributing. And I remember asking this to my manager sometimes, that what do we really do? I mean, fresh out of college, I had no idea how are we contributing in the company.
Yeah.
But rightly said, from there to today, a lot of things have changed. One is definitely the skilled labor thing.
Hmm.
So far, it was about monotonous jobs, but as technology progressed, a lot of things changed in terms of how people were working,
Yeah, of
and
course.
that brought in the revolution. The second thing is, I would say businesses themselves change it. Say,
Hmm.
for example, we can blink it and we can get things,
Yeah.
kind of experience that any organization or any service provider for that matter wants to give it to any client,
Exactly.
always on the positive trajectory. And that is why when you have same customer as your employee, they expect similar kind of experiences at workplace as well.
Yeah.
The third thing became that from our parents generation to now, we moved from loyalty to value addition. So when loyalty got a hit, people started thinking that I don't have to be in one organization forever.
Yeah.
War for talent started
Yeah.
because they knew that they can move from one place to another and the next organization will welcome them.
Yeah.
So that was a major change. So I would say putting together, it was about skills, it was about how businesses were treating their customers and societal changes. Everything put together brought human into the picture,
Yeah.
and people started realizing that the only differentiator they have there in their businesses is people. Because technology now, it's a given, everybody has to have it.
Of course.
Other things are similar. There was a time when only few will have machines, and they will do whatever they wanted to do. They will have a monopoly. But now we know, now there is deep seek also.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
it's not that even AI is somebody's proprietary. It's
Yeah.
so I think the from here onwards, the importance of human as a important asset for the organization is going to improve, and so the role of this function, which manages people.
Yeah, rightly said, rightly said. Definitely. I think it's very fascinating how HR has evolved from those early days, as you mentioned. The value addition part of things that you said actually really got to me because I feel like all these legacy organizations, people are still working since 15 years, 20 years, but that's not something that's common anymore. So that's a very interesting take. Speaking of evolution and the fact that you mentioned the technology changes as well, I'm curious to know your thoughts about how do you see AI fitting into HR's future?
Yeah, I think HR has already started working with machines,
Yeah.
and it will only increase moving from here. Even if you start from the first point of it, like hiring,
Yeah.
a lot of AI is being used in
Yes.
hiring, and it's not new. It's like many years now that we have been using AI.
Yeah.
It's just that machine is learning continuously. It's learning some good things, some bad
Hmm.
things,
Hmm.
but whatever. A large part of it, like some examples, if I have to cite, even for banking sector where I come from,
Hmm.
there are organizations who are hiring the entry level or the lowest level of the organization only through AI. There is no human interface.
Oh.
So we have reached that level even in a very regulated kind of business, which is banking.
Hmm.
So, with HR, it is very very high. Then, if we talk about the most important aspect of employee life cycle, which is employee satisfaction or engagement,
Hmm.
even there we are using AI to a large extent to understand every minute how's your mood,
Yeah. Yeah.
how was that interaction with your manager. I
Exactly.
mean, any area you pick up performance management, you pick up learning and development, where we are creating customized programs for people. Gone are the days where my KRA was to have n number of training programs in a year.
Hmm.
Businesses have understood it doesn't work well,
Yeah.
and now it's about customization. So how do you customize for a large workforce?
Yeah.
You do it through this. Talk
Yeah.
about employer branding. A lot of LLM models are helping there
Yeah.
as well.
Definitely.
Compliances, we have reg tech. So there is no area where HR is not teaming up with machines.
Yeah.
And I have seen that a lot of administrative things go away when we rely on technology.
Yeah.
So definitely the transformation would be moving from this, the highly administrative thing,
Hmm.
to highly value adding thing. I would say highly business partnering thing.
Yeah.
Do I really have time to go and talk to each and every person and understand how they are? What can they add to the organization? Or I have their database through technology where I know the moment a job is posted, I have 10 people within the company who have the skill set ready.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's how it is going to be for
Yeah.
future of HR.
Definitely. I think we didn't anticipate, even in a field like HR, to get so much technology into it. But I want to actually ask a follow up question based on what you said. Very interesting take. But in terms of interviews, right, you mentioned that even in banking, which is such a
Yes.
regulated sector, a lot of interviews for entry level jobs are being taken completely by AI. So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, just completely negating the human interaction or the human touch side of things, which actually really helps us understand if a candidate is good enough or not for an organization, and AI handling that. So, how do you think? What's your take on that? I'd love to know.
Yeah, so my take is like if the numbers are very high and there's only one skill that you are looking at. So we have moved from skill to competencies to skill now.
Yeah, yeah.
We are talking about selling skill, we are talking about negotiating skills, and say if it is a retail or talk about insurance for that matter, even that is regulated, or the retail chain of banking.
Hmm.
The number of people that you need, so you would know in insurance especially the attrition is around above 50%.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It reached
Definitely.
90% few years ago, but
Yeah,
front end it would be 50-60%.
yeah.
So what you are doing is the lowest level where you don't have to do a lot of mind application. You have to do a simple job.
Hmm.
You go and hire through machines because the volumes are very high, and
Exactly.
even as human you are not adding a lot of value at that level
Hmm.
because 70% attrition, you're not going to have them for a very long time.
Yeah.
It's like they come, they contribute, and they leave.
Hmm.
That is all.
Makes
So there it works, but I am highly against hiring people where this is not the situation
Hmm.
without any human intervention. I really
Exactly.
rely on that gut feeling as yet.
Yeah. Exactly.
No matter what data is saying,
Yeah.
definitely that is taken into account, but I go by the gut.
Hmm.
So there are scientific tools, there is AI, there's technology, but talking to all the people who interviewed this person, having that sense while talking to them, their body language, all that gives a lot of cues.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, and I rely on NLP. I am an NLP practitioner, and
Oh.
I also did masters in psychology. So
Oh.
connecting
Wow.
with people, no two thoughts about it.
Exactly, exactly. That's why I actually asked this question. What you said really does resonate with me. I think it does save up a lot of HR's time if it's bulk hiring and it's only one skill that's required. But if you look at the other end of things, then obviously that human interaction still is very much needed with any sort of high level sort of positions. Okay, moving on, we'll go back to your TED talk. There was a segment in which you had mentioned that there's this rising trend where more and more CHROs are actually stepping into, CEO positions. So, from your perspective or from your experience, what skills do you think make HR leaders particularly well suited for CEO level roles that you think other C-suite leaders or other leadership positions might not possess?
Yeah, so the skill for today is people. We say it is feminine. Skill for leadership, skill for tomorrow is feminine
Yeah,
because it's about connecting, it's about that interpersonal skill. It's not about aggression anymore.
yeah,
Because if you have a super aggressive CEO or managing director leading the company, it may not turn out to be very positive in
yeah,
long run. You
yeah.
may get returns in short run. Say it happened with a lot of companies. We have seen cases of Uber. We have seen
Of
WeWork.
course.
There are so many cases like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Today, it's not about aggression. It's about having a balanced view, and that's where HR professionals are stepping into this role,
Yeah.
but the requisite would be that they have a business understanding. If they don't bring up that business acumen and understanding about where is money coming from, where's money going, because you would see a lot of HR professionals would not be able to interpret a balance sheet or financial statement.
Yeah, yeah,
That is not going to help, but the most important skill is that balance work. And I remember lot many times when we discuss a business problem, I mean, people is the biggest business
of
problem and
course.
business advantage as well.
Yeah, yeah,
If I am discussing it with a line manager, the kind of perspective that I will bring into it, the
hmm.
manager would say that I never thought about it
Hmm.
from this perspective.
Yeah,
So this is the skill that we command as HR professionals, because this is how we learn for so many years, and that is a very very important skill.
yeah,
But
Exactly.
yes, business acumen would be the key.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective. I think the guests would also really love to know your career journey, basically. So, from growing up in basically a small village where the population was less than 500 and studying in a vernacular medium school to basically reaching where you are today, right? So, could you tell us a little bit more about that journey?
Yeah, sure. So, like you rightly said, I spent a lot of my formation years in a small village.
Yeah.
There was one school and one classroom, and I was anyway very introverted or underconfident. I was born in Eastern UP, and that's not a place where women would be encouraged highly.
Yeah.
Uh, so, like my mother, she got married at 13 years of age.
Hmm.
So no studies, nothing. So that's how where I was coming from. And school also did not offer any personality development opportunities. So I was very underconfident. And now I understand that that was not introversion, that was lack of confidence.
Hmm.
So when I went to engineering college, being academically inclined, I could crack second ranking institute of the state. And this institute had invited people from across the globe. So all smart English medium school students were there, and
Yeah.
here I was having no idea, no English. So it was really difficult. On top of that, I had business communication as a paper in first semester. So
Okay.
I was trying to set things up. I was so underconfident that when ma'am used to take roll calls, I
Hmm.
used to just raise my hands, not uttering even a single word, thinking that they are all going to judge me.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was the state of affairs. And at some point of time, I really thought that I would not be able to make it. This is not the place for me.
Hmm.
That's where my father's learnings came into picture. He made it for himself. He's so when we are three siblings, and when we were all were born, he
Hmm.
was still studying. So
Oh.
he made it from UP to MP, and that was a this attitude of creating possibilities for himself,
Yeah.
and that's what he passed it on to us. So
Hmm.
from there, then I could do it. Then I started working on my communication English. Then I appeared for MBA entrance exam. I
Hmm.
did my post graduation, and since then I realized that it's all about having that mindset that I can do it. It's not about what is your past. It's all about how do you create, or what do you create for your future.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, talking to you today, I cannot think in my wildest dreams that you were in a vernacular medium school. Story is very, very inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So you mentioned that, your father is someone who pushed you, help you break the barriers and basically pushed you to be where you are today. And you've also mentioned a fascinating concept of a possibilitarian mindset, in your TED Talks and a lot of your podcasts that I have seen in the past as well. So I'd love to dig a little bit deeper into that. So, what do you think holds people back from seeing their full potential? And going with your story, what do you think at that point of time was holding you back that your father helped you overcome?
Yeah, so I think it's beliefs, and it didn't end with engineering. Even when I had 3 4 years of experience and I came to Mumbai,
Yeah.
people started telling me that tumse na ho paega in Mumbai because you come from
Yeah,
a small place.
that
So
too.
yeah, it came to my I mean it I became conditioned to this thought process that I come from a small place, I would not be able to make it here.
Hmm.
I can do some small things, but thinking about moving up in the corporate ladder is not something that I should be even dreaming about.
Yeah.
So those kind of beliefs. Then another set of beliefs, especially for women, that we have to take care of home, we have to take care of family. That's 100% our responsibility, because that comes from our moms.
Yeah.
Even that's a belief.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah, and third thing which I realized that I have taken two breaks in my career, and when I went back after second break,
Hmm.
I was like, I need to put in 150% in work,
Yeah.
because I have missed on so many things, and
Exactly.
here is an opportunity, why don't I do it? And at the
Yeah.
same time, I used to think that even at home everything should be 100% good.
Hmm.
So having this belief again that you can do it all or you can have it all is
Yeah.
again incorrect. So putting it together in terms of what has been my learning, that you need to continuously re-evaluate your beliefs
Hmm.
and check what is working for you, what is not working for you in
Hmm.
current situation.
Yeah.
Be ready to change beliefs. You should not think that this is a belief which is cast in stone and
Yeah.
you cannot change it.
Basically, unlearning.
Unlearning, yes.
Yeah.
So unlearning certain skills becomes easy, but when it comes to beliefs, it becomes really difficult.
Yeah.
Like I cited the example that looking at my mom or listening from her or
Exactly.
anybody around me, it was like home is my responsibility.
Yeah.
So involve my husband. It took a lot of time.
Hmm.
Same goes for him as well. He didn't think that he also needs to get involved, but after we
Exactly.
had discussion, then he realized that no, this belief needs to change.
Yeah.
So mindset is what stops us, and mindset is what helps us propel forward also.
Hmm.
So I would say always keep evaluating what are you thinking, because your thoughts can make or break you.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah, I think definitely that resonates with me also a lot, because when you're conditioned to think a particular way, I mean, all your life, it's very difficult to actually unlearn it. You have to reiterate it to yourself every day at every step of the way, that this is something that, I have to change and I have to unlearn. So,
Yes.
even a very small thing, if you're able to achieve through that unlearning, I think it can be considered a huge feat. So, yeah.
Just like you move from a job to starting something new, right? And
Yeah.
I'm sure you are going to, every day you are thinking how things are working and whether it was a right decision or not. So,
Exactly. Yeah. That's
yeah.
just, it's about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone every day. I think that's a conscious choice that people have to make, choose to make in order to get anywhere, I feel. Um, I think I loved your perspective on mindset and potential. And now, I mean, speaking of unlocking the possibilities, this actually leads us perfectly to the book that you have written, The Power of Connections. So I would love to know what inspired you, first of all, to write that book. How did you decide to come to this topic, particularly to write about the power of connections? And yeah, could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so the book is product of this Lean In Circle, Leaders Lifting Leaders. We
Yeah.
seven of us came together and we co-authored this book.
Okay.
But why we did it and why I initiated this, because I realized that we don't grow alone, and it's nobody wins alone.
Yeah.
So everyone has to have support from so many other people
Yeah.
for growth, and
Hmm.
it's all about helping each other grow.
Yeah.
So that was the concept. Now a background on networking.
Hmm.
So like I said, I was very underconfident and I used to think I'm introvert, but actually I was underconfident. So whenever I used to go for networking events for very very long time, even after working,
Hmm.
one I would not go. So my boss had to push me that you should go, you should talk to people, you would know what's happening outside.
Hmm.
I would not do that. But if pushed, I would go there and I would hide at a place that nobody sees me. Despite all the efforts, if someone looked at me and they came to me, I would just give my visiting card and vanish. So I realized that this is not only me, there are many women, because even if you look at it today,
Hmm.
uh, networking is not a very strong point for women. There
Yeah.
would be 5-10% women who are doing it, but for
Definitely.
rest, it is really difficult.
Yeah. Definitely.
So then, yeah. So then I thought, why not write something basis my experiences
Hmm.
and experiences of all other women who are with me,
Yeah.
and tell people how important it is and how can you do it right. So we spoke about not changing cards is not networking.
Hmm.
Networking is about building long term relationship.
Of course.
Like you and I connected, and we are going to have this relationship for very very long time, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe forever.
Yes.
That is networking. It's not that I need some business from you or you need some business from me and we come together.
Yeah.
That's networking. So we spoke about myths of networking, how not to do it, how to do it,
Hmm.
how there are certain people who have done it very well. So we cited some examples also.
Okay.
How going inward is important before you start connecting outside. So we have a chapter on breathing as well.
Oh.
How breathing
Wow.
helps you connect with yourself.
Wow.
So yeah, that's how we came together, and networking was critical because That was one of the areas I saw changing things for me, opening many doors for me. And I was not good at it, and many more women were not good at it. And we thought, let's do something about it.
Yeah. Got it. That's actually a really valuable perspective on relationship building. I think people do really undermine, this networking, how to do it, how to build actually long term relationships instead of just pinging people to ask for favors and then just going ahead after that. So speaking of, I think navigating professional relationships, since we're speaking to HR guests, would love to know your take on how you feel or how you think LinkedIn as a tool in general helps in networking and career growth. Because I think you did speak about how you used to use LinkedIn to network with people, how it helped you, reach where you are today as well. So if you could tell our listeners a bit about that.
Yeah, so networking is critical. We spoke about it,
Hmm.
but how do we do it in the easiest possible manner?
Hmm.
I think LinkedIn is the best platform, but you have to take your connections forward. So you
Yeah.
may have say some 5,000, 10,000 people who are connected to you,
Yeah.
but how many people do you really know? So you can't know all 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 people,
Hmm.
but at least few deep connections you need to make.
Yeah.
So I started my LinkedIn journey in 2020 during COVID.
Okay.
COVID gave some extra time in terms of cutting down the
Yeah.
travel,
Of course.
eliminating the travel actually.
Yeah.
So that's what I utilize to create more connections.
Yeah.
And I used to meet at least 10 people every week online, because the online was the world at that
Yeah.
point of
Yeah.
time, right? So, and I did is face some experiences where I went to a connection and I said, I would like to know you more.
Hmm.
And the response was, what exactly this can translate into? Is
Hmm.
there a business opportunity, or are you giving me a job, or is there anything that you can do for me and I can do for you? Then only we should connect.
Hmm.
So I started realizing that there is
It is
this.
still transactional to a large extent. Yeah.
Yeah, you rightly said that's the right word.
Yeah.
People make it very transactional, but I then went on, because we know there are 8 billion people, and
Exactly.
there are billions on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
Billions on LinkedIn rather. So if it doesn't connect with some,
Hmm.
there will be some other who will. And I got so many good connections. Now they are my friends, deep bonds that I could develop with them.
Got it.
So LinkedIn helps a lot in multiple ways.
Hmm.
One, like we spoke about, connecting with people.
Hmm.
Second is learning. Every new thing is there on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And third is when you go and put it out on LinkedIn, whether in form of a text
Hmm.
post or in form of a video,
Hmm.
you are actually exposing yourself.
Yeah.
You have
Exactly.
to do it right.
Hmm.
I mean, you have to learn it and then do it right. I would not say anybody would be perfect at any point of time,
Hmm.
but it takes courage to be there and raise your voice, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You are
Yeah.
giving yourself a voice on LinkedIn. So
Exactly.
that's another important thing for business, anybody, everybody.
Yeah.
And but yes, the most important thing is definitely the connect with people.
Of
So
course.
in many ways, for learning, networking, for growing, LinkedIn is a very, very important tool.
Yeah. Definitely. I wanted to ask you a little bit more, on your answer. Definitely, I feel building connections on LinkedIn is a great way to network, be it HR, be it marketing, or be it any other domain, even if you're, a job seeker, if you're going to hire someone. So I think in general, LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. But I've seen people in general, specifically in the HR domain, are pretty apprehensive about actually putting their voice out there, right, with respect to posting. And because of course it's your views, you feel that maybe I shouldn't say it, maybe it's already been said, why should I post? And I've seen that you actually post quite a bit on LinkedIn, and all your posts are very, very unique, very different perspectives. So how do you think people should navigate this according to you, if they feel that they shouldn't post, or they're a bit shy, they're a bit apprehensive? What do you think is the importance of posting, and how do you think people should kind of get through this apprehension?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for your kind words. I'm glad that you found them useful. So yes, this dilemma would always be there, and I also faced it.
Hmm.
Said I just started my journey in 2020, and why did it start? One reason, definitely there was some time in hand, but even before that, same question: what do I post? So
Exactly.
I had completed my master's in psychology in 2019.
Okay.
And the whole idea was to revise those concepts because those concepts had really touched me,
Yeah.
and I wanted them to be known to many people because
Hmm.
they helped me grow.
Of course.
They helped me introspect,
Hmm.
self awareness. That was the important point.
Yeah.
So I started writing, and I was like, "Who's going to read?"
Hmm.
Well, like you said, but maybe it was that time when we were all looking inward, and I was talking about it, so it started resonating with people.
Yeah.
Not talking about reactions in the beginning, but people started writing to me in the inbox that I read your post and this is what I wanted to listen or know today.
Hmm.
So they started bringing positivity for people, and that's what positive psychology is all about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that was the motivation
Hmm.
that propelled me, because if I did not write for a day or two,
Yeah.
at least one inbox would be there that we did not receive your post today and what's happening.
Wow.
So yeah, that's how it started, and then I realized that those comments
Hmm.
actually very important. So you get all perspectives on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You will get something. Say for example, I wrote a post that you should choose your manager wisely,
Hmm. Hmm.
and now we know that youngsters do a ref check on their prospective managers.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, so many people knew about it and they
Hmm.
said, yes, you are saying the right thing.
Hmm.
But many more wrote that it's our luck who we get as a manager.
Yeah.
The perspectives are always very good because many people are still not
Hmm.
accepting this reality.
Hmm.
And many more people will write extra things about you. Say, for
Yeah.
example, I wrote about financial awareness today,
Oh.
and people spoke about what more can be done. So
Hmm.
you get to learn more, you
Right.
get to see more perspectives. So yeah, that's how it started, and it really helped me first.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
yeah.
I think it's a very, very powerful tool. I mean, even putting your voice out there, you can actually connect with. I recently started posting on LinkedIn, I think, and I've been able to connect with so many HR leaders that don't even live in India. Someone from Netherlands, someone from the USA who was reaching out to me and telling me that, okay, this is what I think, this is what I think. So, yeah, I think definitely it's just about taking that first leap and getting started.
Yes, that's a very important point because it's a global platform. So
Yeah.
David Rich, when we were doing MBA, we used to read his books. Now we can read his articles. He responds to your inboxes also.
Oh, wow.
So
That
yeah, very,
is,
very
wow.
even. Yeah,
That's
and I
nice.
remember when Leena Nair and I were in the same frame for top 10 women in HR globally.
Wow.
She's wrote to me. She sent a connection invitation also.
Yeah.
So yeah, sky's the limit when it comes to LinkedIn.
Exactly. That is, it's truly very, very powerful. Okay. So I'd love to, sort of shift our focus to something a bit more personal because it's something that you spoke about initially as well. So as a woman leader in HR, who I'm sure has, at a lot of points in time faced gender biases and stereotypes. And by stereotypes, I mean, obviously there's, you mentioned that you had taken 2 breaks, right? And getting back after a break to work, you had to put in your 150%. I think that's, as a woman also, that's something that a lot of women have to see, have to go through. What kind of mindset or what kind of strategies have helped you personally navigate these sort of challenges about gender stereotyping or any kind of biases that you have faced in the past?
Yeah, so I would say I have been blessed not to see a lot of it.
Okay.
Because I come from banking, and people were evolved, though still when it comes to large amount of money, women are not considered to be managing that.
Yeah.
When it comes to retail, small amount of money, yes, there are many women in banking.
Yeah.
Yes, I was blessed to have similar environment at home, and the thought process at home, like I said, my father pushed me to do this,
Yeah.
so we were never differentiated on gender
Hmm.
at home. So
Got it.
the thought process was always that you all are equal, you all are capable, and anybody can do anything.
Hmm.
So one that came from home. The second one that I got through my career, through my colleagues,
Hmm.
they used to not differentiate.
Yeah,
Yes, there have been instances. I would not say that 100% I have never come across this. There
definitely.
have been people who had objection reporting to me because I am a woman, or listening to something from a head HR who is a woman.
Yeah,
Yes, there have been instances, but largely, maybe again, I would connect it to the mindset. Since
possibly.
I did not have it in my mind that different genders have, I mean, as a woman, we have lesser capability. It
Definitely.
never occurred also, because what you think you create, right? Mind is our slave.
Yeah.
So we go into self-fulfilling prophecy that
Yeah,
this is how it is going to happen. It happens even worse.
exactly.
So, yes, but whenever it has happened, and I have raised a voice, and have always ensured that where whatever is within my control, I should always help women, whether it is supporting them for maternity or leaving early or
Hmm.
having that flexibility. I always ensure, not only at work but also in my circle. I keep telling them, how can you present it, or how can you get it done at your workplace.
Yeah,
So, yes, but one thing that I realized that women also need to take few more steps to
of
reach
course.
there,
Hmm.
because there are so many responsibilities at home, and a
Yeah,
lot of it we create.
yeah,
We think that the home will stop if we don't do something for a day. Uh, we need to come out of this, and we need to start working on the areas where men have done good work
yeah,
and they are reaping benefit of it. One
yeah,
of them is definitely networking,
definitely.
but still with the two circles, I see that women are not as forthcoming
Hmm.
in investing time, energy, and money when it comes to connecting with people,
Hmm.
or doing something which is beyond work. Yes, there is pressure at home, at work, but women also need to take a step forward when it comes to having that edge for them.
Yeah, it's about being the change that you want to see, I think. And of course, the mindset. Thanks for sharing these powerful insights. Um, okay, I'd love to get your perspective on something a little bit different. So basically, recently we've seen a few companies, come up with bold marketing approaches with respect to HR. So companies like say Zomato, for the chief of staff position, that required the applicants to pay 20 lakhs in order to get submit their application, or a company like Yes Madam that made a powerful I think move on LinkedIn to raise awareness about work life balance. So what's your take on these sort of new approaches with respect to hiring and building a team culture?
Yeah, so two things involved here. One, creating a controversy first,
Hmm.
building mileage.
Yeah.
Talking about that, I would say I would steer clear of it. I would not enter into it, because we see on LinkedIn also there are people who just kind of abuse HR and get all
Yeah.
the engagement from people. And I remember attending a workshop from women leaders,
Hmm.
and the instructor said in very clear words that if you want to make a mark, you have to first create a controversy.
Yeah.
But I don't subscribe to that idea, so I would
Yeah.
not go for any such campaigns when it comes to any people matters, or for that matter anything related to employer branding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but creating campaign which are different is definitely very very interesting.
Hmm.
There may be certain, I would say, as banking, a long time in BFSI for me.
Hmm.
So, highly regulated sector.
Yeah.
I may not be thinking of something very radical,
Hmm.
because I am not looking for those kind of creative people who can create something in compliances and do away with it. I
Exactly.
want people who are structured, who follow compliance and go by the book, because it's about regulation, it's about money, it's about trust. But yes, if I was in some other industry, I were in some other industry,
Hmm.
I definitely try some campaigns which are different. So I would give a total yes to campaigns for hiring,
Yeah.
but need to be very clear, because social media is always two ways.
Yeah.
There will be some who will support you, and there will be some who would not. And we saw
Exactly.
it in case of this controversy that happened with a woman very recently. Her husband died by suicide, and and
Yes,
that
yes, yes, yes.
company had to close their Twitter page. So
Yeah.
reach any level.
Yeah, it can. It truly can. I think social media is very powerful, extremely powerful. It can go either ways. Okay, so before we wrap up, Gauri, I know our listeners would love to benefit from, sort of your wealth of experience. Could you share some essential, say, resources or any tools you think that every HR professional should have in their toolkit? It could be books, it could be any digital tools, or even, coming from your mindset, could be any daily practices that you think our listeners can benefit from.
Yeah, I would say certain things that have really helped me is understanding yourself first.
Hmm.
So, for any leader or any professional, I would say go within first,
Yeah.
figure out who you are, and there are various tools to do that. There is Gallup Strength Finder. Focus on your strengths also. We always know what is our area of improvement, but
Okay.
we don't play with our strength because in childhood, when we got the report card, the focus was always on what is not going right.
Hmm.
We never had that. Okay, you have got 90% here. Let's try to make it 100%.
Yeah.
That was not the question.
Yeah.
So we have not learned it, but know your areas of strength, your areas of improvement. Also understand from others' perspective how you are. So overall, feedback becomes a very important tool.
Of course. What was
Yeah.
that tool that you mentioned?
It's Gallup Strength Finder.
Gallup Strength Finder. How does it work?
So it's an online tool and it tells you in short form 5 strengths and in the large form it tells you 20, top 21 strengths. So I would say go for five first
Yeah.
because five is a good number to start with. And once you know your strength, you will start relating to it. Why do you behave in a certain manner?
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you.
but
Thank you so much
then,
for this. I think I'm going to try it today only.
okay, super. Go for it. It's online, so you can do it immediately.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's about it for our questions, Gauri. I just have to say thank you so much for coming on board. This was a very, very insightful conversation, and we are so happy that you were our inaugural guest. Your journey from being an HR practitioner to a thought leader, and that's something that you choose for yourself every single day, is very, very inspiring. And I'm sure that our listeners are also going to, take away very, very valuable lessons from this podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Reed. I really love the conversation, and I'm so glad and honored that I am the first guest for this podcast. Wishing you the best, and I hope our conversation helps people.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Gauri. Have a great day.
You too.
And to our listeners, yeah, that was Gauri Das. She was sharing her unique perspective on HR leadership and the power of possibilities. If you'd like to dive deeper into Gauri's ideas, I highly recommend watching the two TED Talks that she has given, and definitely check out her book, The Power of Connections. The links for all of these will be mentioned in the description below. And thank you so much for tuning into The People Puzzle, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much.